Hello everyone, it's Mr. Walker, and thank you so much for powering up your computers and looking at this PowerPoint. I do know that the future of Leavenworth and the future of Florentine is a highly controversial and certainly an emotional issue, and we don't make light of that at all. But I would like you to join with me through the next few minutes. It takes about 20 minutes or so to get through the slide presentation, and consider possibilities about today and tomorrow. To do nothing in our district and just let our buildings sit is not an option, and you'll see that through the slideshow. But I propose to you some exciting possibilities for both our children and the community, both our children's education and the fiscal responsibility that we'll talk to throughout the program. Doing nothing is not an option, but exploring the possibilities and potentials for the future for our children should be our focus and should be our #1 focus, while respecting the fiscal responsibilities of the district and the community, whether they can handle this kind of change or not. Again, I'm saying that we honor the Leavenworth history and we also honor the future, but we honor it in a different way. I know that it's emotional, and I think that's good because people care about the community and care about their future. So do I, and I represent that in the slideshow, and I'll always honor that for our community. So stay with me for the next 20 minutes or so, generate other questions. I look forward to emails or just on the street if you want to have questions answered. And thanks for paying attention. Hello, it's Mr. Walker, and I hope you're going to stay with me for the next half hour or so. I want to update our slides and our presentation called Today and Tomorrow: Realities, Possibilities, Visions, and Futures, about the school, middle school from Leavenworth to Florentine. So enjoy the conversation and please stay with me through the entire show, and I hope to inform you as to the realities of today and tomorrow. Okay, slide number 2 is beginning with an end in mind, and of course nothing is more important than the focus of our students. This district must focus on the future of our students. When we were in school, our hopes and dreams and expectations were different 15, 20, even 30 years ago. Our job in this district today is to have our own students, our current students, believe in their future and believe in their possibilities for the year 2015 and beyond. So #1 focus, our students. The #2 focus, of course, is fiscal responsibility, and as we go through the rest of the PowerPoint, I hope that you see, like we do, that the responsibility, that putting our best dollars where they most will help our students the most, is the second most important situation in the PowerPoint. Slide number 3, maintaining our buildings, of course, goes along with the fiscal responsibility of slide number 2. The district needs community support for bonds. The last bond in this district was about 6 years ago and cost about $22 million total. However, the community contribution was approximately $1.4 million because of state aid. So what we need to do is continually enhance and maintain our buildings, and what we do is we hire an independent architect to give us a building condition survey. That survey, just completed this year, tells us the current state and the future condition of all our buildings. No matter what we decide to do with Leavenworth and Florentine, as you move through the PowerPoint, you must agree that we have to do something to maintain, repair, and grow. Now, the realities are left and right, Florentine and Leavenworth. Of course, they're both built approximately the same time, 57 years and 78 years. But Florentine has several great advantages over the Leavenworth site. The acreage alone allows for expansion. The classrooms are larger already, the existing classrooms, and we have expansion possibilities that also include adequate parking and a full bus loop. It still maintains a walking distance to the village. The Leavenworth site, of course, is respectable, but only 8 acres. And the classrooms, 31 of them, have an average square feet of 800 square feet, much smaller than the Florentine existing building. We certainly have limited expansion possibilities plus a high asbestos abatement should we want to do any more work in the Leavenworth building. Next slide shows other realities. We did examine Florentine in relationship to North Rose Wolcott Elementary, and you can read the columns, but again, looking at what building might have the most optimum potential for expansion, for remodeling, for renovation. And as you read both columns, just so you know, we did look at North Rose Wolcott Elementary in relationship to Florentine, and again, Florentine comes out on top as far as realities of the future potential for a middle school. The next slide called Money Realities, and here is the fiscal responsibility that I mentioned earlier. Take a look at the data on these two columns. There is absolutely no question that Leavenworth is a wonderful building, but there is some question as to the costs involved in remodeling just the infrastructure at Leavenworth. The bottom line is our building condition survey estimates that Leavenworth needs $10.2 million in repairs and upgrades over the next 3 to 5 years. That's $10.2 million with no addition, just internal updates and upgrades. The Florentine building condition survey tells us that only $4.1 million are needed for the entire infrastructure. So it's about a little less than half of what Leavenworth needs just for internal upgrades. So $4.1 million to make Florentine brand new and $10.2 million to make Leavenworth up to grade and up to date. It just doesn't add up money-wise. The next slide, Money Realities, again compares Florentine to North Rose Wolcott Elementary. And I won't go through the entire slide, but you can read and see, again, Florentine stayed the same at total building condition surveys, 4.1 million. For North Rose Wolcott Elementary to become a middle school, to be renovated completely to become a middle school would be a minimum of $11.6 million. So although it's okay as an elementary right now and it has some wonderful features for elementary, to go in and renovate it all BCS or building condition survey suggestions and to help turn it into a middle school is about $11.6 million. And that really doesn't wash. It just, again, doesn't make it any better than Leavenworth, in our opinion. The next slide, called Priority Ones, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. It shows some of the actual dollar amounts for all three buildings, Florentine, Leavenworth, and NRWE. And again, the costs involved for just the Priority Ones, Florentine is leading the pack as far as best bang for our buck. I'll go to the next slide now. Kind of a quick history of the closing of Florentine, because there's a lot of questions regarding why did they do this and why did they do that. Although I wasn't here at the time, I will tell you, based on what I've learned and looking at the history, the district did exactly the right thing. There is no question in my mind that given the data they had, the public was asked to do the $22 million bond. The financial forecast began to decline in the state. The attendance for the district began to decline, and the Board of Education and the public, in a sense, got caught up in a state aid crisis. The district knew that the state aid might be worse, as you can see from the slide, and in the spring of '09, the board held targeted discussions on ways to help the district save money, including consolidation. Go to the next slide. Again, the quick history continues. Factors that considered why Florentine was the choice of closing at the time. Not only Florentine was examined, but all the buildings were looked at. And unfortunately, Florentine was so small at the time it could not hold any one merged group, as you can see from the slide. K4 could fit in NRWE, and 5 through 8 could fit in Leavenworth. But of all the buildings the district had, given the spatial relationship needed to consolidate, Florentine was the smallest. Even though it was one of the newest and most modern buildings, it could not house the grades that we needed to consolidate. Okay, go to the next slide. So why not leave Leavenworth as a functioning middle school with 550 occupants for the year 2020 and beyond? The infrastructure, as you can see, clearly is a suspect as far as best bang for our buck. Doing nothing is not an option. Buildings and programs are in need of critical renovations and upgrades. But they looked at this a few years ago. Why not build a new building? Well, today, constructing a new middle school would cost about $28 million. Putting an addition on the high school for the middle school would be about $20 million. Renovating the interior and exterior of Leavenworth, $8 to $10 million. Expand and completely renovate Florentine as a new middle school, $10 to $12 million, which begs the question, where will we get our best dollar value? Where, for our middle school students, should we put our money? When you look at the cost of new construction, when you look at the cost of an addition on the high school, when you look at just renovating the interior of Leavenworth, no additions, and then you look at building on and adding a brand new middle school at Florentine, the money speaks for itself. The next few slides are actual pictures of the Leavenworth building, and I'm not going to narrate all of them. I'll let you go through the next 5 or 6 slides, but I want you to understand the context. Such as the first slide. The Leavenworth classrooms, about 800 square feet, allow for very limited space, especially for today's demands of computer and storage of information. So you're looking at the next few slides that are actually from Leavenworth, and the headings will explain what the slide's about. And then there are some possibilities of what it could look like. So I'll let you look at the next slides for a little while, and then we'll pick up with the narration after you finish the stairwell part with Leavenworth. The next 3 slides are actual building condition survey portions. Again, there's a lot of reading in there. I won't narrate a lot of that. You can read it at your leisure, but those are actually pages that came from our BCS that show the cost and some of the technical remodeling and renovation that's involved in that cost. I just wanted to be honest with you about the cost of things and to see the descriptions of what the architects are saying the Leavenworth is going to cost us in time, energy, and certainly in money. So those are the next 3 slides. So you can read those, and I'll pick up in a minute with you. Renovating Leavenworth, this is the part of the debate that's out in the community, and I'm proud to say that people are talking about it and are discussing it and debating it. But the bottom line still is, do we want to put the kind of funds that are necessary to just renovate Leavenworth and say that that's still worth it? That's the issue at hand. You need to examine the potential of the Leavenworth building for 2020 and beyond. You need to weigh the potential renovations and costs versus the end product. You need to examine, as this PowerPoint does touch upon it, the infrastructure and what's the status of the new ADA and building codes when major renovations are planned. The asbestos removal alone, if we do remodeling, is about $2 million, 1.8 to $2 million. So issues such as this drive up the cost. And it asks the question again, is this where we want to put our money? The BCS indicates there are areas below that are at immediate attention for Leavenworth, and the costs involved exceed $10 million. I just don't think the beautiful building internally can handle that kind of infrastructure repair and be ready for 2020. If not Leavenworth, then what? Other realities. I'm proposing, as you probably already know, I'm proposing that the Board of Education and this community consider moving the middle school to a renovated and remodeled and place of an addition in the Florentine campus. The next slide is just one of the design concepts. It's not the design concept, but I put it down there so you can have an idea of what we might be looking for to renovate the Florentine campus. We would need to put a small addition on and then, of course, renovate the entire building. But those costs, those guesstimates, if you would still not exceed $12 million, and we would have a brand new middle school on the Florentine campus. You can take a look at the design, but remember, this is just one design to generate thoughts and ideas. The Florentine possibilities are an 8 to 10 classroom addition. We designate a special science wing and technology center somewhere in the building, and we'd have to expand the cafeteria with update serving lines. We would have a full-size gym with bleachers. We would have adequate physical education PE locker rooms and storage, and a secure main entrance with handicapped bathrooms and access. We would also be able to have recreational and physical education areas outside because the campus is large. Go to the next slide. Looking at the possibilities, again, the estimate's around 10 to 12 million. Estimated state aid right now is about 85%. The approximate local share would be 15%. And if the entire building were done and renovated, the 1.5 million that would be the local share would come from reserves. There is no tax increase associated with renovating the Florentine campus. All building condition survey items would be addressed, and you would have, in a true sense, a brand new middle school with the additions, with the extensions, with the storage for less than $1.6, $1.7 million of local share. This slide is to make sure that people understand what are the charges and the responsibilities for a Board of Education. The board is charged with the task of continuing the educational programs in this district, including facility utilization. For the board to do these things, they need to weigh all options and value community input and decide the long and short range budgetary conditions and issues, and then bring their decision to the public. That's actually been done and will continue to be done, but the forums that we held in the past 3 weeks let the board hear and interact with our community regarding the responsibilities and expectations. Ultimately, We are in this together. The remaining slides are anticipated and requested questions and answers. Many of the pieces of information came from the forums that we held, and I tried to alter the slides after the forum to address the questions that came up. So as you read the next 4 or 5 slides, know that many of the questions that we're addressing actually came up in the forums, and I was very, very happy with the community's participation. It also allowed me to address some of the questions for the next forum and the next forum. So you're now seeing a summary of most of the Q&As that came along with the forums. And those are very important because they do answer people's questions. They also provide some additional background information regarding the process and why we do what we do. Well, thanks for staying with me through the slideshow. I recognize that the community is doing quite a lot of soul searching and discussions over this issue. It isn't the first time that it's come up, but I do respect all the comments and certainly the emotions involved. But I propose to you this situation. We can't do nothing. We need to look at our children's future. We need to address some very serious issues, infrastructure, and exterior parts of the building, and do something. I honor the Leavenworth building. I'm sorry if people don't see that, but I do honor the history, and I certainly honor the future of the Leavenworth building, but not as a middle school. The infrastructure just cannot demand and deal with those kinds of changes that we need for 2020. Making the Florentine campus a new middle school, I think, is essential for the future of the community. And certainly, if we focus on our children, which we really should, it is a fantastic opportunity for our middle school kids to be challenged in new and exciting ways. At the same time, the community, the village of Wolcott, has an opportunity to grow. The village of Wolcott and the community people have some power in maintaining the Leavenworth history and also the Leavenworth future. It just makes sense to me to try to encompass both sides and yet not cost this community an arm and a leg in doing so. For about the same amount of money, we can have a brand new middle school and still maintain a portion or the entire building of Leavenworth for our future and our community. Thanks for listening.